Well, Chioma, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I mean, you and I already had such a great conversation just before we hit the record button, but I'm intrigued to learn a little bit more about you. Before we get started, why don't you first introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you do?
Thank you so much. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the honor and the invitation. So as mentioned, my name is I will say Chioma. I'm a product of my environment. We just joked about that with my different dialects. And I'm located in Chicago, Illinois, of this United States of America. I am an accountant and a financial coach. And really what that means to most is that I help entrepreneurs and business owners, small business owners, keep more of their hard-earned money without sacrificing the things they love, like family time and coffee. And no, that is not an elevator pitch. That's really what I do.
I love it. But you know what? I think the one thing that always intrigues me about accountants and financial coaches like yourself is the fact that you love numbers so much. I'm sorry, but I just had to say it because I am not somebody for numbers. It's not where my passion lies. But then equally for you as an accountant and financial advisor or coach, you absolutely love numbers. You love looking at statistics and things like that. So I'm more intrigued as to how you got started. How did you become an accountant and how did you kind of develop that and your niche, so to speak, into becoming a financial coach?
Yeah, I never wanted to be an accountant.
Now you just completely gone the opposite of what I said.
But the funny thing is you're right, I was always into numbers. When it comes to, let's say, marketing or being in front of a camera, I call it the creative stuff, even though I think numbers are creative. But that's something I really had to learn. I'm still learning right now. So in terms of where the evolution of numbers came from, my path, which is, my name is Nigerian. So stereotypically, I'm a child that was supposed to have been a doctor, a lawyer, accountant is in there, but doctor, I was on the physician path. And then I saw all my dad, who's a physician, my mother's a nurse, I come from a family of doctors. Everyone was saying, don't get into medicine, understand business. And then I was just really heavily influenced by them because that was all I knew was medicine. So of course I'll listen to my parents, and went to school, grad school, and begrudgingly got into accounting because it was a whole nother language. It wasn't the numbers I was used to. I was used to calculus. I was used to geometry. Accounting is something else in a very, very beautiful way. What I saw was actually, to me, human behavior. And so right along with medicine or right along with painting or fitness, I'm also into fitness as well. It's just here's this other element that shows human behavior. So that was really cool. So I'll go with my humble brag, which has a point. Like most Nigerian, I'm sorry to any Nigerian that's not all of us, but like most Nigerian kids, we have a lot of education. So yes, 2 master's degrees. I've worked so that's master's degree in accounting and then an MBA. I've worked for those quote unquote companies. Once ran an accounting department and was horrible with my own money. I was terrible with it. And so I did all the things that I would say popular blogs or popular money advice tells us to do. And that is cut the coffees, don't buy your iPhone, don't go out to dinner. To me, it just sounds like don't have fun. You're young, work hard now, and then later on in life, enjoy life. And didn't really work out for me that way. I found I did cut the coffees. I made my meals at home. I learned to work out outside out of a gym. So that was a benefit. But I did all this cost cutting stuff. And I still was living from paycheck to paycheck, despite running an accounting department, despite making a very good salary, the coveted 6-figure salary. And then I thought accounting was the problem. So I eased into yoga, and I wanted to transition from the corporate environment to that of teaching yoga. And so I took on a contract role, except that contract role didn't exactly work out. So as someone who was living from paycheck to paycheck, that meant I didn't have any money. I didn't have any savings. So I found myself quickly at financial rock bottom. I ended up moving in with my parents, who, despite their credentials, also struggled with money. So we're all struggling together. We're all learning at the same time. And essentially, that was when my connecting the numbers, the human behavior, I started to really see like what was going on. Plus what I started to learn as a yoga teacher, the mindfulness, the meditation, the going within, essentially. I started to understand what spirituality really is, understanding that yoga doesn't make me spiritual. I just am. And I started to really put two and two together, but that wasn't without kicking and screaming and a lot of denial. So fast forward, and I know I'm skipping the good part, but of like, I'll actually mention this. Kicking and screaming, in that I thought that I would just quickly get back on my feet, find another job. And I think I was meant to not. I had to hit rock bottom to pay attention. So I was living out of my suitcases in my parents' home for about a year before I unpacked. And it was when I unpacked that it wasn't clothes and shoes and memorabilia that I saw. I saw accomplishments. I saw things that I like to do. I saw myself for the first time. And that for me was when I really started to climb out of that rock bottom phase. Almost around the same time, I had accounting, not students, but yoga teachers and yoga business owners asking me to help them with their accounting because they were familiar with my background, even though I thought I hid it from them. But so I slowly started to help yoga studios and teachers organize their finances. I slowly started to incorporate, the mindfulness was for me, of me slowing down and understanding, why am I making a decision and how is that showing up in the money? And then I started to share it with my eventual clients and prospects. And for some of us, we do breath work and then talk about the numbers. Others, we just get right into it. But the point really is to just see your behavior, see who you are in your money. And that's what we're doing ever since, what I'm doing with everyone else.
And my goodness. Yeah. It's an amazing story. And you know what, there's a couple of things that I picked up from here. I think one is because I've spoken to so many accountants, they all say the same thing. Managing somebody else's money is no problem for them, and they can manage millions and millions of dollars or pounds or whatever currency you want to call it. But then when it comes to their own finances, they're all bad at it. And I think this is because you've got that emotional connection. I mean, when you're managing somebody else's money, you don't have an emotional connection. It's just a job. Mm-hmm. But coming to yourself, there's that emotional connection. And I agree with you 100%. This is where the mindset comes in. But unfortunately, so many people haven't learned what is the right mindset in order to kind of build that relationship with money. And money is a big thing in our lives. I mean, if you don't have it, you can't survive. So it's almost become one of those things that we are desperate to have every single day. But again, it comes back to that mindfulness and to how you are building a relationship with your finances, with your money. And I really kind of love your story because it just encapsulates all of that. And for you to hit rock bottom is, in a way, actually, if I'm right for saying this, a saving grace, because it's what actually made you realize there's something else here that I need to look at. What I've been doing hasn't been working for me. And sometimes we just need a bit of a kick up the butt in that kind of sense in order to go, this is it. This is what I needed to see or learn or move on from.
For sure. It was a kick on the butt, all right. It's one of the things where I thought that for my problem, and I would say that, not to generalize, but it seems like conditioning will say, there's two thoughts, but you need more money. More money, more money, more money. And I kept making more, or rather earning more and more and more and more. It didn't solve my problem. And then I cut. That didn't solve my problem. So there was something within I had to take a look at. Yeah. And here's something else. Because I would look at other people's finance, like you said, accountants good at our jobs. I never looked at my bank accounts.
Mm.
I was so ashamed. I never looked because I didn't think I made enough money.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, what's the point? I don't have anything.
Yeah. Very much an avoidance thing there as well. You know, you don't want to have a look at your bank account because you don't want to tell yourself like, yeah, this is a problem. We don't like looking at the problems. We'd rather, you know, bury our heads in the sand. And I've seen this so many times, even for myself. I'm not just referring to other people. I've seen this for myself. I had to go through so much as well in order to get that mindset, which I'm still working on. And I know it will be a thing that we work on for the rest of our lives. But hey, at least, you know, a starting point is better than nothing. So I want to ask you, let's dive into this a little bit. What do you think the real reason is that people are struggling so much with money?
I believe, I almost want to say I know, but I believe that people struggle with money because they don't really know what they want. And I know that's a loaded statement, but I also, taking it further, believe that it's not exactly safe for us to declare what we want, because I was just reflecting even this morning. I'm always reflecting, but I thought about when I was a child and I wanted a candy bar. My mother was at the grocery store and I wanted a candy bar. And she said no. And then I asked why. Okay, probably shouldn't talk back to your parents, but I was curious why. And the response I got was, because why has a long tail. So I never understood why. All I heard was no, no, no. And then progressively we hear, you're too greedy. Oh, you know, you want to save, don't take it all. You want something to be left over for other people. And so our desires are being connected to, no, it's wrong. And then think about when, okay, you want something, why? Now you have to prove your desires. You have to write a proposal. You have to say how it'll benefit everybody. You have to, it's like, when I want something, I have to explain myself. Otherwise it's no, and there's no explanation. So I just feel like that all feeds into why I would say we hesitate being our authentic selves and knowing what it is we really want. And that shows up in our finances, it shows up in our money.
Yeah. And it's so true in more ways than one, because if you ask somebody, what is it that you want? The first answer they would go like, oh gosh, I don't know. What is it that I do want? I mean, yes, because it is such a broad question. But if you do ask somebody that, it will take them a couple of minutes to think about, what is it that I want? I mean, it's on very rare occasions that I actually ask people that question where they instantaneously told me what they wanted, because they already written it down. They've already, you know, started working towards a goal or towards a dream or whatever it is. But I think financially, because we need money wherever we go, I think financially, the first thing is, when I ask somebody, what is it that you want? What is your desire? The first thing they say is, oh, this is what I want, but I need the money first to get there. And that for me is instantaneously where I said, the money isn't the issue here. The money will come. You've got to sort out what it is that you want first. And I do agree with you. A lot of people struggle with money because they don't know what they want, me included. I had to go through that kind of, can I say, hump in order to realize, oh, I get it now. I get it. So let's talk about the desire, because you mentioned that desire is the first step to riches. So from your point of view, why would you say desire?
I would say, using an analogy, I think many of us have taken an Uber, or at least a taxi cab. And using Uber as the example, before the Uber comes, the first thing you have to do is put in a destination, which is your desire. And then that's when, whether it's Uber X, Uber Black, Uber, whatever it is, the shared rides start coming. You can pick which one. And it's almost like your money, right? You just said it. You declare your desire, then the money comes. It's like Uber. So we need to know where we're heading. You need to know, and it's also like, do you desire to have the money? Which we do. I think consciously we say yes, and maybe subconsciously you don't want the money, you know, and that's okay. But this is essentially really saying, money. This is how you can support me. So it's important to really declare your desires. I say plural. You're allowed to have many, not just one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. I learned something really powerful. I'm a bit of a spiritual person, so I'm going to talk about manifesting money here. I worked with a bunch of clients, and we spoke about manifesting money. And one of the things that actually came out from the conversation was that how they've kind of tried to manifest a number, an amount, and how they never got that amount when they manifested it. And then when we backtracked a little bit, it came back down to the same thing we said earlier on, where they said, oh, I want this goal, I want this dream, but I need to get the money first before I can get there. So it came back down to that desire, what they really, really want. And with the mindset is that as well, why don't you manifest the desire, the end destination? If you manifest that, you know, the universe, your inner being, guidance, source, whatever you want to call it, will show you how to get the money. You don't need to worry about the how. The how will come, but you've got to concentrate on that desire first. Manifest that, and the money will show up. And this is something that kind of changed a lot for me when I got that concept and when I started experimenting with that. And I saw a lot of amazing things happening. And when I shared this with the clients, or with the ladies that I was working with in particular, exactly the same thing happened. They actually came back to me afterwards and it's like, you are so right. You know, that desire is the first step to riches, exactly like you said. When they started manifesting the actual desire, it started coming true. It's actually showed them, and they kind of got the steps as to what they need to do in order to get the money to make that desire come to life, basically. So I agree with you 100%. And I don't know if you've had similar experiences like that as well.
I have. I love that you say that, because sometimes I find that there are others that are a little hesitant to talk about manifestation with me, because there's an expectation of what an accountant does, and which is okay, but it's exactly that. For me, a great example is last year around my birthday. I just simply said, you know what? It was something silly. I want a handbag, and I don't want to dip into my savings. 2 days later, I get an opportunity, a quick workshop opportunity that's for pretty much the exact same amount of the handbag I'm looking for. And I'm like, thank you. And I had to look out, but it's also being aware of the opportunities too, like the path. Not just looking in that one direction. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, I think this kind of works beautifully into how to incorporate, hold on, I'm going to say this right, how to incorporate mindfulness with money management. And I think, you know, talking about mindfulness and talking about manifesting money, but also I think hand in hand with that comes managing the money. It's not just burying your head in the sand. You know, you've got to be on top of things as well a little bit, and focus on what is actually happening with your finances.
So this is something, what you just said right now, I'm so happy you said it, because this is something I do work with clients that they see manifesting. They'll bring in the money and lose it quickly. And I said, part of the manifesting process is you also have to give your money a space and take care of it. And that's because they're familiar with, I suppose, one aspect of manifesting, but not the whole picture. I think they see this bringing it in. So yes, part of the manifestation process is taking care of your money. So looking at your bank accounts, seeing what's blocking, what's in the way of that desire, whether it can be something as simple as a late fee, or we have human error, a duplicate charge, or maybe you're not collecting all your money. That's a big thing for entrepreneurs and small business owners. The fear of collecting money is huge. And then the unseen, of course, the discounting, or nothing against free work. There's a time and place, but that's why you actually look at your accounts. And it's really taking inventory or connecting with yourself. So now the mindfulness comes in, because we come in where we're typically stressed out and want to just get things over with. That's if we look. I would say, for example, if you're into meditating, meditate to calm yourself and relax, because the whole thing is you need to slow down and then look at your numbers. Or look at your numbers, journal about the experience afterwards. What came up? What did you see? If you're into breath work, you can do your breath work exercises before or after. If you find yourself stressed, anxious, shoulders are rising up towards your ears, to relax the shoulders, you can engage in your breath work practices. Other modes of mindfulness for me, I mentioned I'm into fitness. Go work out. Take off that energy, play your music, do what you need to get yourself in that calm state so that you can truly, you as in whomever it is, can truly see what's going on instead of just looking for the bad things. Look for what's going right. Look for the good things. Congratulate yourself, acknowledge your efforts. That's managing your money, not, oh my gosh, I have a bill, but wow, I did it good. Okay, good. I like that purchase. That's what money is. It's engaging. It's a relationship.
It's so interesting that you're saying that, because a couple of weeks ago, at the time of this recording, we had financial year end. So that's where everybody goes like, oh my gosh, I need to get all the finances for the year together. So everybody is stressed out and freaked out, and you sit there with your spreadsheet. And I was one of them. I used to do that, leave everything till the last minute and then stress out. And now I've got to sit and do all of these spreadsheets. And it always freaked me out because I was never somebody who was good at numbers, never good at, keeping track of it, even though I knew I had to. And then I thought to myself one day, well, I just got to sort this out. So every month I've been sitting down, keeping an eye on my figures. And what that has actually done for me personally is it really gave me a sense of ease, peace, and relief. Because I knew that in the past, when I was thinking about, oh my gosh, I've got to do my numbers, I didn't have a clue what was going on sometimes. I was just thinking I was spending a lot of money. And then when I actually did the figures and I sat there with my spreadsheet, it was like, actually, it's not so bad. I made a bunch of really good purchases for the business and see what that's brought me and how much that's helped me. And the income was good. So you actually get a better sense. And I think with that kind of logic behind it, spiritually and mentally, what it does as well is it gives you that ease, peace, relief, freedom, whatever you're thinking that you need. And that was a huge eye-opener for me. Whereas now, if I don't do, or if I skip a couple of days from my calendar and go, oh, I forgot I needed to do my monthly spreadsheet. And I was like, okay, I need to do this. And then as soon as I do it, I was like, okay, everything is good. I'm managing things well. And that created a habit for me. So now every month, that's one of the things that I'm doing. And I can't tell you the difference it's made for me with my own mindset, but equally feeling like I am in control. I know where I'm standing financially with my business and personally. And that was a huge eye-opener. But it didn't happen from day one.
No.
that I had to learn and get into that habit, and as soon as I did it, I thought, gosh, everybody needs to do this because it is so exhilarating in a way as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Exhilarating. I love that.
So the other thing that I wanted to ask you is, how to make your physical financial environment inviting. Because, like I just said, doing spreadsheets before, I used to loathe it. Now I love it. But from your point of view, how can we make that environment a bit more inviting for ourselves?
So for me, who used to loathe it, and now I'm like, you know what is it that I did? I had to think of things that I enjoy and really start to understand why I enjoyed it. So referring back to yoga or non-yoga things, there was always some sort of calming music. And then you set your place, and it lets you know this is what you're going to do at this point in time. So now for our numbers, what I've noticed is that I'm laughing because it seems to be a common thing for people. The table that has papers all over the place. And I'm laughing because it's that was me too. Papers all over the place, trash. It's like saying, don't sit here. Don't do this. It's not inviting. And sometimes people need chaos. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm one of those that I need my books around me to do things. But you want to create a space for your money. It's not just your bank accounts. So I think a lot of us, if you like candles, light some candles. Play your favorite music. If you're clean, I think most of us like cleanliness, clear the space. At least give yourself a little place to sit down and be present with your finances. Like make room, you know? Make a meal. If you like cooking, making an event. Something, this is your money date, right? So make an event. Here's your favorite meal. And then make it exciting, you know? If you have to play some romantic, I already mentioned music, but romantic music to kind of joke around, it's a date, do that. Dress up for it. So it's really just about how you show up. It doesn't have to be a terrible experience. Like it's a practice, of course. You start to practice having an enjoyable experience. But like you said, the more you practice, it becomes a habit.
Yeah. And
then now this is your time with your money.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you know what? It's so funny because I do exactly that. In my calendar at the end of every month, I'm like, okay, for this next hour, this is what I do. And depending, I normally try and go in towards the end of the day because then I can feel I can start calming down. I can walk out of the office. I don't have to sit here in the office and do it. And I go and pour myself a glass of wine and I sit on the sofa with my laptop and I was like, this is my time. And then my dog is there next to me and I play a bit of music, got my earbuds in, and I just enjoy the moment. And then when I get to a point, I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel I've done enough now. I can continue tomorrow a little bit more. Then I shut down and then I'm done for the day. But I just feel this is my time where I'm making it fun rather than a chore. So it's so funny that you're saying that. I was like, yep, doing that, tick, I'm happy with that. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. But you know what? I'm glad we have this conversation because I still think that unfortunately, this is something that will never get old. People will always struggle with money mindset, with their relationship with money. And I think the more we can kind of just bring some of these kind of things home to people, to everybody listening and just feel like, oh gosh, I should try that. I could do that. The more they just add little bits and pieces into their daily lives of how to manage their mindset, their relationship with their finances, I think the more educated people will get, the better people will start to understand what it is that they can do in order to have a better relationship with money. And this is why I'm so glad that you came on here as well, because yes, I've had financial advisors and I've had other accountants on here, but everybody's got such amazing tips that they're providing, whereby it just takes that one person to listen to go like, that's what I needed to hear. So thank you so much for coming on and just sharing so many amazing things, because I think at the end of the day, you know, with wherever we stand in life, we can never, ever learn enough. There will always be something new out there that we can take and make it our own. So thank you so much for coming on. However, before we conclude with everything, you've got an amazing freebie for everybody. And you call it the 11 ways to grow your bank account without selling. Or without selling more. Let me just rephrase that. So why don't I hand over to you and you can tell us a little bit about that freebie.
Sure. Thank you so much. The freebie is really intended to give more time. Like time is valuable, and so we want more time to spend on the things that we love. And then selling more ends up being a bonus. So it's giving more time by being more efficient. So it's 11 ways. You pick which one or all 11 you like to do. And it's just ways to really connect with your money and just possibly things that one maybe have thought about and wasn't sure, you know, the normal self-doubts, or things that you didn't think about and you're like, oh, I should give that a try. But yeah, it's having the skill of making money is different from the skill of having money. So this is really about having money and giving you your time back so that you can enjoy life. You have life to
Oh
live.
my gosh. No, honestly, I think everybody should have this, because it's like we said, just anything to help you improve your relationship with money, so much the better. And we can never learn enough. So for those of you listening, and for those of you watching this video, by all means, this freebie is available to you. Just go down to my show notes. The link will be there, so you can go and download it. And if you have any questions for Chioma, by all means, please get in contact with her. Her website details will be there as well as her Instagram, so you can connect with her there, DM her, send her some messages, and just let her know that you listened to this episode, you really resonated with it, and you have a couple of questions. And I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out. But Chioma, I just wanted to thank you so much again for your time, for coming on and just having this amazing conversation. I can't get enough of having these kind of conversations, because like I said, it's just so enlightening to have it, and just to feel that, we're sharing with other people and helping them every step of the way. Before we go, do you have any last tips that you wanted to give the audience?
I would actually say, Henriette, I loved how you shared. So it's not just coming from me, it's coming another person, which is you, about everything we talked about, and how a lot of our discussions, like connecting to your finances, and just how it painted such a beautiful image in my mind. I felt calm. So I appreciate just this discussion, this collaboration with you. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And like I said, before we hit the recording button, I just knew this was going to be an amazing conversation, because there's definitely a synergy between us. And I just couldn't wait to hit the recording button. So let's get going. Let's start sharing. Thank you so much, Chioma. We'll be in touch very soon again, but I wish you all of the best. Have a lovely weekend. And we'll stay in touch.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much.